はい、こんにちは。
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining the panel discussion titled Catching Up and Moving Forward with New iOS Functions for New User Experience. My name is giginet. I am going to be moderating this session. So what we are supposed to discuss in this panel discussion, well, every year new iPhone is introduced, and this year iOS 16 was introduced in September, so live activity as a new function was introduced, and also dynamic island with another functions. So new OS and new device functions are introduced every year. So those who are developing iOS, the softwares or how we implement those, and also we will discuss the challenges in implementing some of the services using an iOS. So we will discuss between ideal and challenges we face. Okay, thank you very much. And first, I'd like to ask them to introduce themselves. First of all, Park-san. My name is Sungmin Park, and I am the engineer manager in the iOS Android experience development team at Line. I'm called Licky, so please call me Licky. So I have been supporting team members and leading team members in this area. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Next, Tanaka-san, would you please introduce yourself? I am with the Yahoo Japan, and I am an engineer in city office. My name is Tatsuya Tanaka, so I am called Tanatatsu, so please call me Tanatatsu. So I am the iOS app and black belt. That is one of the certification system in Yahoo Japan. So I'm involved in solving technical challenges and also verification and development for new technologies. So your black belts sounds like very strong. You're very strong, sounds like, okay. And also, I am a moderator. My name is Giginet. I'm from Line. I am with the developer experience development team. So iOS developers or mobile developers. So in order to improve efficiency of their development activities, I work for those purpose. So nice to meet you, everyone. So let's start. So we talk about new functions. So first, like to make audience to understand the new functions we're talking about. So this year, Yahoo Japan Online released the new functions. So first, I'd like to ask them to talk about new functions. First of all, this is the new functions in Line, Ricky-san. So there are several functions which were released this year, one of which is this one. This is a widget on lock screen. So far, to activate Line, we have a widget to activate the Line, and we are also making a lot of considerations about other widgets. And also the WatchOS. This is a Line app in the iOS WatchOS. So a WatchOS, when you send a message, the types of you can send text and audio. And with the WatchOS 9, now we are able to use an image picker. So taking advantage of this through our Line app on the WatchOS, now you are able to send the image as well. Thank you very much. So from iPhone 14, now the lock screen always appears, so you are able to activate the Line from the lock screen. That is a quite convenient function. And also the Apple Watch, maybe this new function is not well known. So those who are involved in the watch development, I don't think there are so many people. So this is one of the topics I would like to discuss.
Okay, so next, Tanaka-san. So I hope that you can share with us the new function Yahoo Japan has launched. So year after year, we offer the new iOS features. So we are putting all our efforts to respond to the new features quickly. And for this year, so the lock screen of iOS, so we are able to place widget there. So based on 11 applications, we are able to provide support. So in many applications, so we are able to release this situation, release the functions. So there is many popular application like a weather application and others. So we are able to offer our features together with the launch of these new features. So we focus on the AI on-device execution. So here, this is a hairstyle simulation that you're able to use with the Yahoo Japan application. So you're able to select the hairstyle that you want to wear yourself. So you're able to take a picture of yourself with your favorite hairstyle. So this is the latest vision framework-based image processing and core ML being used to realize the features. So all the features are available on the iPhone. So we do not depend on the server to realize this function. Thank you very much. So it's amazing. So 11 applications are supported simultaneously. So it is going to have a major impact to the market. So the Tanaka-san, within the Yahoo Japan, so there are various applications. So you're looking all the applications, right? Yes. I'm providing various support for various applications. So many applications, so like widget response and how to follow the new functions. So how are you sharing the knowledge within the team? So this is something I would like to learn from you today. And also about this one, so widget is easy to understand, but when it comes to vision framework, so if you don't use it, then it's quite difficult to catch up. So it's applicable to myself. And so this time it's a new function to be used to realize this, right? So yes, we are using the latest update technology. So it's only available for the new iOS. But everything is possible based on the iPhone, so it's a good performance. So what is possible with the new iOS? So for example, the background. So extract just the face or the body of people is already available in the Vision Framework. That's also available in the Vision Framework and Core ML. So we have a more new way to manage, and it's dependent on the new feature. Okay, so we would like to try that. So Yahoo Japan Beauty application, please use that. Okay, so here, so what is a new feature, new function? So I think you have a better understanding. And so there are 11 applications and so many applications to be responded in a limited time. So what initiative you implemented this year to realize all these amazing responses? So first of all, so every year we have a WWDC in June. And Yahoo applications in September. So it's been released in September, right? Yes. So just within the 3 months, so you're responding to the 11 applications. And so how are you able to realize such an amazing job? So at WWDC, the information is going to be shared. And since then, how do you do the development? So what is the obstacle? So we would like to learn more in detail about that. And so during the panel discussion, the viewers are able to post the questions. So I encourage you to post more questions. So we would like to pick as many as possible. So in this session in June, WWDC opens, and after that, until the release in September, what had happened and how do you spend your time during WWDC? So I would like to learn about that. So first, Tim Cook appears and give a keynote speech and announce many things at WWDC usually. And this year I was taking a look at that. And for example, the Ricky's. So what was your first impression after listening to that? Well, this year, so we talked the possibility of doing the offline meeting. So I had interest about that, but it's partially offline, but mostly online. So I was able to view at my home, relaxed manner. So my feedback was, as a user, what is possible to be used. So we are able to see more of those usable things like improvement of the lock screen and taking a picture to. If you press longer, then you're able to extract from the picture. So there are many functions made available as user. And as a line engineer, so what is the technology that we can quickly introduce? So from that perspective, so maybe there are not many things that we can introduce right away. So what about Tanaka-san? Well, it's a mix online and offline, but online, well, it was quite easy for us to view the event, so I enjoyed taking part in the event online. So what's been newly publicized? So lock screen is the one that I had high interest. So we had many things to respond and up instance. So in a Siri shortcut was used in the past. So the feature we had in the past was improved from the easy to use perspective. So it's not drastic change. So there is an evolution to improve things, to make it more authentic. That's the impression I had. So in case of Yahoo Japan, so Tanaka-san is responsible for more than 10 applications, and I think that you're able to apply more things like live activity that was newly launched. So there was a screenshot about the result of the baseball. So I think that you can come up with various ideas about how to use it. And after listening to the keynote speech, so idea that came out from there, so how you want to realize, so who is going to take a lead in your company? So from respective team, the idea comes out, or do you voluntarily propose yourself? What's the process? So it's both. Like people who are mainly in charge of service catch up, and once they think there are good ideas, then they offer to use a certain technology. That can happen in that way. But I belong to the cross-team organization. And so whatever I caught up, so I come up with a sample idea and propose how to adapt that idea. So we make a proposal. So like we are the evangelist. So there are such technology made available. So we propose how to leverage those technologies. I see. So for example, the hairstyle. So how did you propose that? So do you have a learning meeting inside the company about the new feature for the hairstyle? So it's technology based. So AI has been developed. So we are able to make the technology already developed easier to be used by user. So it's a combination of technology, and we promoted it to be used. So there's a dedicated team of AI and a dedicated team for applications. So they collaborate each other. They share information and realize the function. So you talked about live activity. So Yahoo Map. So we have introduced that in the dynamic island. We are able to show the posting. So that's one example that the people in charge of service discovered and they promoted. I see. So I go back to hairstyle repeatedly. Sorry about that, but the vision. So there's a challenge to the service, and in order to improve that, so you're able to, you happen to, understand the technology available. So from the technology, you come up with this idea, right? So for the hairstyle, it's based on technology. So we use whatever technology or tool we can use. So by introducing function that the user did not, forecast in the past, so we encouraged the use of the application. So I think there are outstanding challenge, but on top of that, we are able to leverage the technology that's newly developed. So the combination of a newly released application, we are able to see the offer.
Okay, thank you very much. And there is a question coming from the audience. So for Android, how to deal with the Android? Well, we cannot provide this for Android, but this is the core mail from the Python. So maybe we can figure out how to do it in Android, but maybe the audience can wait for that to come. Okay, thank you very much. So in WWDC, many pieces of information come out, but WWDC lasts only 5 days or so. It's a very short period of time. So how do you spend 5 days? For example, like Ricky-san's, your team, do you have any team sessions? Do you have any internal discussions during WWDC? At Line, during WWDC, the new functions are introduced, and then we have a TFO to discuss. We call it Haribert to talk about how we can implement new service using a new technology. And so if I'm interested in any particular technology, so I join a discussion. And then, well, people make a proposal, and also we discuss how we make the proposal happen in line. So that is the way that we implement a new service with a new technology. So we try to see the event as much as possible. So if you view the keynote, and then if you have a new idea regarding the widget for a lock screen, then you discuss and then you try out. Exactly. Well, this year, the Slack, well, we created a new channel in the Slack. Then we create a thread, one for one of the for each one of the proposals. So, for example, lock widget, we have a one channel for the Slack, and then here we can exchange our ideas. Okay, and Yahoo Japan is an even larger organization. So how do you share your discussions? Any particular way that you promote discussions internally? Well, the WWDC, that is something we try to make an excitement about WWDC. So we organize WWDC Excellent in Tokyo, so special event in Tokyo. So we try to make an excitement about this event internally at our company, and then we watch keynote, and Yahoo Japan also use Slack. So iOS 16, 14, so we create a new channel every time, and anyone can write any comment, and looking at each different session, people can share in the Slack new ideas. Then we have also shared a document in which there are some comments, so I try to make a new service available, but then this didn't work because of blah blah blah. So we share the new ideas and challenges also. So if someone make a mistake, and then others can make a workaround, not making the same mistake, because we share those information as well. Or the iOS engineers experience the same thing. So sometimes we complain about Apple's, for example, this year we have only 3 months period of the development. So are there any specific challenges in order to release anything new from your company? Well, every year we face a lot of challenges, but this year particularly, API we have been using, the replication of API has happened a lot, and it has an impact in a wider scope. So it takes a lot of time to modify this, which is API should auto rotate. So when it's rotate and screen, whether screen should rotate or not, it's a manual rotation. Well, this functionality was there for many years, but this year, in iOS, before iOS 16 released, well, they announced that this will not function anymore. So when we found out this new information, we needed to address. So you want to create something new, but before creating something new, you need to make sure that existing services will be intact, still functional, right? So in such a case, you need to modify your existing functionality of services. That's right. Every year we test the existing build, whether that existing build still functions. But sometimes unexpected things happens, when therefore there wasn't a surprise for this year. Tanaka-san, how about you? I was involved in developing a lock screen widget, and there was one big, the defect to overcome. It's the timer function. It's like timer functions with a unit of 1 second. In iOS 16, the timer function doesn't work. So in the beta phase, we found out this issue. And even after 16.0, that didn't function. That's why that was quite actually unfortunate, so we were not able to release it. And that was actually corrected in 16.1. So there was the Apple developer forum, and I was the feedback assistant, so we gave a feedback. And then that is actually up to your luck whether that kind of defect could be corrected in a short period of time. So looking at specifications, it says that it can be used for timer, but sometimes a bug that prevent it from happening, right? So this is a situation we face, and then WWDC for 5 days. There is an opportunity to speak with people with Apple. Well, this year, did you join such discussion? Well, actually, I was supporting other people to join the discussion, and anyone can join a lab online, and therefore people are encouraged to ask questions. But of course, there is a time difference and in various of languages. So those who wish to raise question, some of them still find difficulty to raise question due to those challenges. So a lab is available for 5 days, and then you operate a widget, and then find out timer doesn't work. Well, within 5 days, it's very difficult to find all different issues. Right, so when we were able to go there in person to join the WWDC, at the time, it was easy for me to find a bag after trying. But then I was able to speak with people in Apple in person. And for example, looking at the crash log within the framework, I found a crash in the framework. In such a case, I reach out to people or engineer from Apple, and then in the beginning there are only 3 engineers from Apple, but then the other Apple engineers joined our discussion. Then they finally found a defect or bug in that. Of course, if we are able to join in person, that would be great. But I hope that in the future we can join these sessions in person again.
So ask Apple. So there is a more occasion for us to ask question to app people through Slack. So we hope to foster the culture of asking question to Apple more and more. Then it makes all the more easier for us to develop. And so I was able to hear many topics about WWDC. So I understand that you're able to launch services. And next topic is ideal and reality. So I have high interest about this topic. So actually, when you are operating services, so you don't have time to develop new functions, right? So it's not just about new function, but the application that fit with the device. For example, as a user, I use iPad a lot, but there are many applications that does not respond to iPad. And so developer would like to respond, but the iPad is like 1% or 2% of the user. So it's quite limited for the user of the iPad. So rather than focusing on that, they had better focus on the iPhone. So that's natural. And in this situation, so how do you respond to widget, iPad, while you do the businesses? So how you are able to offer the convenient feature functions for users, how you manage that. This is something I would like to hear from you. So here, the topics I would like to ask is, so as I mentioned, how you're able to improve user experience. So it's an abstract discussion. That's one thing. And I would like to ask a question to Tanaka-san. So across the company, so how you try to improve the user experience. So how to develop the features, functions, how you expand, deploy that nationwide. And last question is, so the number of users is not increasing. So you want to respond to Apple Watch, but the user of the Apple Watch is limited among line user. And so the service development targeting those users, so how you manage to do that? So earlier, I asked Tanaka-san about the role in Yahoo Japan briefly. So when it comes to the widget development, there are different team members involved, and your role is to request the people nationwide to be engaged in the widget response. But if there is only 1 or 2 iOS engineer in a team, then it should be quite difficult for them to accept your request. So due to the lack of human resources, you fail to respond to the situation. Yeah, that happens commonly. So there are many approaches I can take, but the third point about the businesses. So just based on engineer, even though we want to implement things, but from the business standpoint, they need to be engaged in a certain task. So it's quite difficult. So it's quite important to gain understanding by everyone. So during the period of WWDC, the information that we could acquire, so like a common document you mentioned. So the information we gathered to be shared among the people who are leading the initiative from the security and privacy perspective. So there are people who do not have a strong interest, and we have a dedicated team here. So those team to catch up. So passkey is something we respond, and the people with expertise is catching up with the technology or information. And for the Yahoo Japan company-wide, there is a WWDC meeting across the members. So what we are able to learn there, not only translating what we learned, but we tried introducing that to the services. So by sharing the prototype, we present what we could realize. So not only engineers, but the people who are involved in designing and planning is joining. We invite them to join the meeting for them to understand what is possible. So once they actually see firsthand, then they have higher interest. So through those activities, we try to gather people who have more interest. And so even though we try to respond, but sometimes we have a lack of resources. And the organization that I belong to have an application working group and member there. So not only request people to be involved, but they are actually doing the implementation. So I myself am deeply engaged in the implementation. So it's a team with a limited number of people. So for them, we offer what is possible and actually engaged in the services and develop the function. So just by developing function, it's going to be a burden to maintain. So for the code, so I explain to be involved in the development. So I'm more deeply engaged when the team have limited resources. Okay, so you mentioned application working team, working groups. So as a mission, so internally, you encourage people to use a new feature and the objective or the KPI. So what kind of a target you set? So how we are able to introduce new function is one indices. So there are dedicated people for that, but there are people who are dedicated for other functions, and the SDK developer are also involved. So there are people who have knowledge about a certain specific area. So by receiving support from them, we are able to work cross-functionally. So in order to improve the experience, we set target. So we have a multiple approach to realize that, understand. So early bird team offline. So what's the situation? So what is your mission to introduce something new? So the biggest objective is to introduce the new function, but not just that. The line that people are using is functioning properly based on the new iOS. So to guarantee that is one objective. Recently, so this year as well, 16.0 was released, and at the same time, the beta of 16.1 is started to function. So because of that, there are sometimes unstable operation for 16.0, but despite that situation or environment, the line should properly function. So we put focus on that to assure that. I see. So not only the new development function, but whenever the new environment is released, then adapt to that new environment is one of your responsibility, right? Yes. We are focusing on the proposing and developing the new function as well. So within the TF, we focus to introduce new function. And after that, After the event is over, the TF completes the work they need to do, and when things settles, as not as TF but as a team member. So there were the new functions. So we make proposal to introduce that. And as Tanaka mentioned, so we implement code ourselves and bring that code to the team member. So that's the support we provide until release. So not only the early bird, but we are thinking of the subsequent process. Thank you very much. So lock screen widget, which is new. So how much user is actually using that? So the measurement of the effectiveness is done by Tanaka-san's team, or respective team is responsible for that? Well, so in many service application, so if the function to be used for many one, then we have a cross function. So we are creating a document to request. So there's a log team, which serves as a cross-functionally, and they are doing the design and confirm that there is no problem, and confirm if they're able to keep log and share.
And we manage every day how much the new function is being used. So not only implementation of the new function, you make sure that the new function is being used. So you cover that area as well. Yes, I do. Because it's very important to know the impact from the new functions quantitatively. Looking at the app in the Yahoo Japan line, they are being used widely by many users. So those who do not know the widget, for example, your father or mother, maybe they are not aware of the widget available. So in order for them to be familiarized with those, do you have any specific initiatives? Line, for example, that's quite challenging. But in the app, so you have a function in the app. So simply making implementation of new functions in the app is not good enough. You need to create the help page, and you need to make an announcement. You need to make a PR of new function. Yeah, so we do that as well. Okay. Actual usage rate. Do you have a usage rate as your KPI? For example, you introduce a widget. Do you take a log how many users use the widget? And if you look at the tutorial guidance, maybe there was an increase of the users who use the widget. But for some service app, we do it because it has the log embedded. So it's easy to access such information. So in that area, yeah, we monitor how the usage is being improved. And also, as I said, we provided 11 apps at Yahoo Japan, and there was press release from the Yahoo Japan. So once new features are introduced, maybe they are taken up by Apple Store and PL as well. And also we sometimes rely on the influencer who has a bigger influence. So that is one of the ways to make a big effect after you implement a new function. Well, I had more questions, but time has come. But before we close, I'd like to ask you two people about the benefit of introducing new function. Ricky-san first. Well, the new functions launched in Line to users. Of course, users can enjoy Line more, or maybe they can use Line more effectively. Therefore, it's very important to continuously introduce new functions. So by making line more convenient, and this will have a positive impact on our business as well. Therefore, new functionality implementations is very important. So Tanaka-san, yes, it's actually fun to create something new as an engineer, and I have highly motivated to develop something new. So this bottom-up approach is quite fun, and also once you are able to provide something new to your users, then if you make an improvement in your platform, then maybe users will notice how your platform is better than others. Yeah, thank you very much. That was very good comment. So as a user, you want to use new functions, and as a developer, you want to develop a new function, but due to some the business constraints, well, of course, you need to come up with an idea how to solve that kind of challenges. Maybe through these panel discussions, and I hope that there are more people who are going to develop more functions so that as a user, we can enjoy it more. Okay, thank you very much. I believe our time has come. So thank you very much for joining our sessions. And if you have any questions, please fill in the question form, which will be later addressed in Twitter and others. But thank you very much for joining our discussion.